also was cooked up by Floyd Mayweather because he saw this opportunity. He had retired, and he admitted as much that he saw an opportunity to go 50-0 and make perhaps his biggest payday ever when all is said and done. So, a lot of credit is given to him. Even in Mayweather or McGregor losing during that period, the fight still remained huge.
Legs. Yep.
And Conor McGregor seems to be changing the game with the financials, at least. Like, I'm sure the UFC's kind of happy about this, but I don't know how happy they are with it because their cash cow is changing the game. Now, I'm going to break down this fight, but there's not a lot to break down from Conor McGregor's side because we don't have any real boxing footage of him outside of a clip from Paulie Malignaggi that heavily edited. Some heavily edited stuff there. But I can break down what I think are McGregor's best chances to win. I don't think Conor McGregor's going to outbox Floyd Mayweather. He could knock him out. He could do fairly well. It's hard for me to imagine a scenario where Conor McGregor outboxes Floyd Mayweather. In my opinion, McGregor really needs to feel out the fight the first few rounds, but not for too long, because that's where Mayweather has run into a lot of his trouble. Now, saying that Mayweather's run into trouble, how much trouble? Well, in the early rounds, he's lost a few times. Not lost a few fights, but lost a few rounds. In my opinion, McGregor's best opportunity is to get Mayweather against the ropes. Almost exclusively, Mayweather rolls to his right, leaves his body exposed, and if McGregor gets Mayweather there, he cannot commit like an Ortiz did. He has to stay at range. When Ortiz got in close, that headbutt landed, and it really spelled the beginning of the end, which had a lot more to do with his ring awareness than it did his boxing ability. Range is a specialty of Mayweather's that we don't know if he will really have at this point. It really depends on how Mayweather or McGregor fights, because if McGregor comes in, tries to bull rush Mayweather, tries to get inside really quickly, tries to make it an aggressive fight, maybe Mayweather can use his reach to negate Conor McGregor's, which is a little weird to say because McGregor's going to have a reach advantage, but it doesn't much matter if McGregor doesn't fight in that manner. Because we've seen it a lot with tons of MMA fighters. Stefan Struve, best reach in the heavyweight division, doesn't fight like it, often gets knocked out. We saw Mayweather adjust a lot between the Maidana fights. He got caught up against the ropes, and then in a second he would start to circle out. The danger in circling out is that you can run into a punch. For McGregor, we know that power comes from the left side, which is the side to Mayweather's right that he often circles out of. That makes me wonder if that will change for this fight. If Mayweather will maybe go to his left to McGregor's right to avoid that. Mayweather, though, was able to lead Maidana on as the fights went on by faking a right and throwing a left hook, and then he created space. But sometimes Mayweather, even though he's up against the ropes, it's not necessarily a bad thing for him. Sometimes he goes there of his own volition to kind of bait his opponents. He'll jab and cross as he backs towards the ropes. Then he'll circle out before they can really do any damage, and he takes them off balance. He'll duck, pivot, escape to his right, and put his opponents off balance while he keeps a wide base. Maidana, who I mentioned before, did kind of stop that before. He held a wide base. We don't know anything about Conor McGregor's base outside of what we saw in those Paulie videos. That was it. This left Maidana open sometimes, the wide stance, but he didn't really care because he was still landing, and he knew that was his best opportunity. That was 3 years ago, and Mayweather never really threatened to knock out and knock down anything from that spot, which is very promising for Conor McGregor if he employs that. Maidana would go to the body a lot, and he would attack Mayweather's guard until he dropped it and left his head open. I don't know if that's the type. I mean, have we ever seen Conor McGregor as the type of guy who will attack the body with his hands to open up the head? I mean, we've seen it with his feet, Joe.
Well, he understands the importance of the body shots, right?
Yes.
There's a lot to consider with Floyd Mayweather and his movement off the ropes, only because I can't see him consistently circling to his right or trying to escape to his right, because that's not where you want to be. And I'm sure Conor will have the ability, maybe not just the experience yet like Floyd has, but his corner will have to notice where the adjustments need to be made. And they're not necessarily adjustments where you abandon what you already went in with. You abandon what you went in with if it's not working at all. It may work. It may not work right off the bat. It may work in round 4. It may work in round 7. But the one thing is, if Floyd does determine that it's always the best escape to come out to his left, the right hook is there. You could stop that. I mean, the oldest trick in the book is what Pat Miletich used to always say when he used to kickbox in general. You want to prevent movement, and you learn this in boxing in the beginning. Once you learn how to jab, and you've gone through the, throwing 1,000 jabs, and then you can add a cross, and then you can add a hook, and then you can use footwork. You want to land a punch, throw the opposite punch. Set it up the opposite way. Disguise it. If a guy keeps circling out to your left, you have a right hook. If you're a southpaw, you keep throwing it to the body. You either will stop him or you'll prevent that, and he'll move the other way where you can land your left. And we all know Conor's power is in that left hand. He does have power. He is ambidextrous. Let's not kid ourselves. He is ambidextrous, and when he hits you, he hits hard. The question is, with the glove size, I know it's smaller, he's going to have to do a lot of punching through Floyd's gloves.
Bigger wraps too. That's an important key a lot of people aren't thinking of. As you mentioned, Mayweather, he negates strengths so well. Like, he makes you think that your strongest weapon isn't going to work because he makes it not work for several rounds. And then in the later rounds, when you abandon it, he starts working the kind of fight that he wants, and he turns it up a little bit. And we know what kind of fight we traditionally see out of him. He shoulder rolls, waits for the counter right. He's not always a slow starter, but if he had any weaknesses, they're there. For McGregor, like I said, I think he needs to feel it out, but don't feel it out for too long. Because early is when you're going to get to a Floyd Mayweather if you are. Bully, apply weight in the clinch. Guerrero found a little bit of success there, but it really all depends on the ref Saturday and how long they'll let things go. Like with Guerrero, they were really letting stuff fly, and Guerrero was landing shots to the body, shots to the head from there. Mayweather uses an underhook to attack, to stop the attack against the ropes pretty often. But see, the thing is, I get the feeling Conor McGregor's not going to struggle with an underhook. Underhooks are a part of his everyday game. So if anywhere he might have an advantage, it's there. Maybe different because of the glove size. I mean, Maidana had some measurable degree of success against Mayweather, but he had to double Mayweather's output and still lost the fight, Joe. Still lost the fight.
Yeah, that's the thing, though.
Go ahead.
I'm just thinking when it comes to punches and bunches, it's a different story when it's Floyd Mayweather throwing them because he's a master at it. Again, we're coming in, or at least I'm coming in. I'm not saying you because you might be a tad more level-headed than yours truly heading into this fight. My heart is more into this fight than my head sometimes because I'm looking at it as a potential change in the world of mixed martial arts if Conor can pull off this victory and decisively. I'd like to see Conor win this fight in a manner where it's undisputed. You cannot, it's unanimous. It is a victory for Conor McGregor. I also will look at this and say to myself, if Floyd Mayweather absolutely embarrasses Conor McGregor, I'm going to shrug my shoulders. What did you expect, Joe? What did you expect was going to happen? Yeah. Conor McGregor technically has no reality in this reality to be in the same ring as the greatest boxer of his generation. But I know what it's like to be an underdog. I've seen so many underdogs pull off crazy victories. I've seen the craziest things happen in combat sports, in boxing, and in mixed martial arts. So to me, it's like it's the unexpected that I'm expecting. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really everything is outside of Mayweather outpointing McGregor is considered unexpected. A couple other things, like I said, up against the ropes. That's pretty much the blueprint. It's weird to say that there's a blueprint for Floyd Mayweather because there really isn't. There's a blueprint.
Actually, Sean, 1 second. What you mentioned before in terms of Floyd's patience, they showed that on All Access when they showed, what's the young kid's name who's co-main eventing? Is the youngest champion ever. What's his name? I forgot his name. Anyways, Floyd was cornering him while he was sparring, and he was throwing out these.
Gervonta Davis?
Yes. He was throwing out tidbits of information, and one of them caught me right away. And it's nothing new, but it's the importance of him teaching the next generation. I beat everybody with patience. So he beats everybody with patience. He's done it before, but he's also said, I cannot go the distance with Conor McGregor. That would be embarrassing.
Yeah. From a technical standpoint, he says that he's going to come out aggressive. So we don't know what that means. When he doesn't, he keeps his left hand at about belt level, keeps his chin tucked, shoulder way up there, head stays out of range. When somebody tries to throw body punches, they go into his elbow and forearm, which Conor McGregor will probably try to bust that guard of Floyd Mayweather. If he's smart, he will. Well, I don't know. I don't know what he's got to bring. But I mean, like, to bring up that point of how he makes people's strengths feel like weaknesses. I mean, Oscar De La Hoya is one of the greatest combo punchers I ever saw, and he couldn't get a lot going against Mayweather, even in the corner, which is where I'm saying that a guy like McGregor may have his best opportunity. That is just that's saying something. That's pretty impressive. There was, as I watched back the fight, like the fights that Mayweather's had, I noticed that Judah throws a counter about how I expect Conor McGregor to. Instead of the lead foot being outside of Mayweather's, it kind of goes inside, which resulted in Mayweather getting staggered a little bit. But then Mayweather like adjusted, started shifting into his punches to cut off the counter. I saw when
Judah was doing that, when he was stepping inside, he would have to turn in. He'd have to open up a little bit to throw the left. Right? And that I love it. I think that's fantastic for Conor, because Conor, if he can master that or execute that, it could be fight changing. The thing is, though, Floyd Mayweather's seen it how many times?
Well, hey, Conor's seen that too, and a lot of people don't realize it, but Conor has seen it. But he saw it in the form of Chad Mendez, who is nowhere near the boxer of Floyd Mayweather, and I'm not going to try to pretend that. But if you ever watch that Chad Mendez fight again, Chad Mendez was stepping in to avoid the counter of Conor McGregor, and he caught Conor McGregor several times with that. And that's when Conor McGregor had to worry about kicks, had to worry about takedowns too. So it is something that he's seen before, and eventually McGregor had success, but man, Mendez cracked him a few times too.
Yeah, and again, it goes to if Mendez can crack him again. They're different sports. They're different attributes. There's a different defensive mindset for Conor McGregor in the octagon that's going to happen on Saturday night in the boxing ring, where he doesn't have to worry about getting taken down in leg kicks. But has he ever really seen the speed of Floyd Mayweather? I don't care how old Floyd Mayweather is. He's fast. He's super fast, and he's an incredible. I mean, I will not be surprised if within the first round and a half, 2 rounds, Floyd's MO is to embarrass Conor, to get into his head, to say, son, you can't hit me. What are you doing? You're going to be embarrassed, and then eventually switch gears. Because I think I could see him not even throwing a punch. Maybe I could see him losing a round or two in the beginning, just to show that, you know what, I'm not going to throw anything, but you ain't going to hit me.